you were literally glowing here.
Aren't I just a proper little drop of sunshine there. Yeah, it's look, it's very difficult sometimes for me to actually speak about that. I get quite emotional about it because it's just been quite dramatic, and it's almost like I have to pinch myself occasionally just to where I've been and where I've arrived. So yeah, I mean, shall I fire away now, Dory?
Fire away.
Okay, right. 10, 12 years ago, I used to play football an awful lot at a very high level, and I used to wear these shin pads on my shins, and I used to get a bit of irritation, I think it's a sweat just building up the skin. And I was finding myself scratching quite a lot, even after I'd finished the game and I'd washed and showered, and my shins just kept getting very, very inflamed. I thought nothing about it. I just simply related it to that and just used to use a moisturizer and keep myself clean. However, over a period of time, it was quite clear that it was more than this, and it just developed into what is now I know now as psoriasis. I just thought it was just skin irritation. I was wearing different clothes and checking my washing powders and all this sort of thing. But it became very, 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 very scaly within about 6 to 12 months, and I started to itch and scratch, and it started to move around my body onto my elbows and onto my hands, other parts around the back of my body. And obviously, I was diagnosed by a dermatologist having psoriasis, told categorically there's absolutely no cure at all for it. It's an autoimmune. Well, they didn't actually say it was autoimmune at that time. They just simply said it's just incurable. You got to learn to live with it, keep it moisturized, look after it, use some more steroid creams on a regular basis.
Well, speaking about your creams, this is what Mark had to deal with on a daily basis.
Absolutely. Got it. I'm glad I kept this photograph. I really am glad I kept these photographs, because it's a real stark reminder, because I was literally, I got to the point where I'm a bit of an anti-pharma. I don't like doctors and I don't like pharmaceutical prescribed drugs, but I was having to take all this stuff. And I kept looking at different options and people making different suggestions, and I was trying literally all of them, because the psoriasis just exploded on my body and it was really getting quite embarrassing. I became quite embarrassed about the whole thing. And then I came over to live in Cyprus. So I wasn't able to wear shorts or everything because I was too stigmatized by it. And the sun and the sea actually irritated it even more over here. So I kept buying all this stuff. I took a trip to the Dead Sea in Israel. I lay in the sea for 2 weeks just to simply see if it would help. And it sort of did, but not for long. But yeah, I bought every product you can imagine known to man, and I was prescribed by dermatologists. I would say 50% of what you see there. The rest of it was down to my own abolition. But the way the health system works over here in Cyprus, I'm having to pay for all this stuff myself. And, you know, I could have bought shares in a company, quite honestly, for what I've spent on this. But yeah, so yeah, I was doing all of this every day, absolutely every day for the best part of, well, certainly 10 years I was using an amount of stuff, but certainly the last 2 or 3 years I've been using all of this that you see on the screen now. So that was how it all started. That's where it all really sort of became noticeable to me that I got psoriasis. Very grey, very scaly. If you scratch it, it got worse. If you didn't scratch it, it just sat there looking ugly. So you had to keep it moisturized to try and take that grayness down and dullness about it all. So I kept doing that, but then you couldn't help but scratch it. It was unavoidable. And then it used to bleed. And then the next day I'd look at it and it was spread all even further. It became even worse. At last 12, 18 months ago, I went to bed, woke in the morning, found my legs had swollen quite dramatically, and ended up in hospital 24 hours later, being told that I'd either got DVTs or, oh crikey, what's something else. But anyway, they said there was a possibility of me having my leg amputated, or both my legs amputated.
Well, in this wet face here, you had the cellulitis here.
Absolute cellulitis throughout. That's a section of my leg across my shin, but the whole leg was infected, and that's why they put me in a course of charcoal down the middle there, coal tar and charcoal. So that took the inflammation down. To be fair to the coal tar and the charcoal, it took the inflammation down. But when I was after that, you can see the dryness and the scaliness of the skin afterwards on the third photograph. That's how I was left. And it was, I have to tell you, something you can't explain is a sensation. It was my legs were on fire. They were just about to, they felt like they were going to explode. There was like an internal itch that you couldn't scratch, but it was just burning all the time, even at that third stage there.
Mhm.
So whilst I'd sort of got to a safe, then it just became dry and scaly, but it seemed to spread. It was going further up my legs, and then it became red blistered and a rash. And it was just ugly. It's just horrible.
So the red rash, this was actually after you had been in the hospital. This happened afterwards, right?
Yeah. I mean, you know, from my point of view, don't get me wrong. I was thinking, whew, compared to where I've been and the threat of losing my legs, I can live with this, I think. No, I can't. Yes, I can. No, I can't. And then
Well, you probably thought you were getting better, and then all of a sudden you're getting, you know, like it's coming back again, right?
absolutely. And then when it went from the rash, it became a blanket rash. It all turned red raw from literally my ankles up, as you can see on the third photograph. And that was literally from my ankles up to the top of my thighs, going towards my groin.
And at this point, this is actually when you started with Clean Slate. Is that correct?
Absolutely. At that point, I jumped in with Clean Slate because I was introduced to it by a wonderful German man, and Thomas. And I said, okay, here we go, another bottle to add to the collection. I will be the museum for psoriasis. Let's just put it on the side there and give it a go. And literally, you can see my elbows from starting after 3 weeks. My elbows returned from that to that on the latter picture the now, and the arm and elbow clean. If you look closely at the skin, you can see obviously for what my body's been through, there's going to be a bit of pigmentation damage, you know, and it will take time to recover, and that will happen. I mean, again, during this 3 weeks, if you saw all the blistering down my arm, down my forearm, it was. I was told I'd have to have laser treatment to get rid of the discoloration in my skin, which again didn't enamor me particularly. So this is where I've gone from that grey, clumpy, horrible, scaly clump to now a smooth arm that I still look after. I still obviously I take my Clean Slate, and every day it seems to improve. So yeah, and that's my tummy. Oh, you've not put my Adonis picture on, Dory.
Oh, sorry.
You know, Peter Andre Cypriot, I taught him everything he knows over here. So yeah, obviously I was overweight. I got to the point I was sympathy eating. I was just eating. I didn't give a shite. I just had enough now. You know, I'd virtually given up the battle, just carrying on with my work, and that was it. But it started to blister on my stomach. And that to me became really quite worrying because that's pretty close to your organs. Okay. So I'm thinking, what the hell is actually going on here? I really lost direction. So I carried on at this time with methotrexate, which is obviously, as you know, is a form of chemotherapy. And I was on about 15 to 20 milligrams a week. And it seemed to help with the legs and get rid of the stubbornness of it all. But I didn't like the fact I was taking something that was smashing my liver all around the room. I was taking folic acid to balance it off, and oh dear. Real rocket science. Then it turned into this, literally after 3-4 weeks of taking Clean Slate. So my legs and my stomach seem to improve quite dramatically at the same time. And then the third one is, making strides towards my Adonis.
We took this picture yesterday.
Yeah, we did.
Look at how much your waist is leaned out. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I have lost, during the Clean Slate journey, I think it's fair to say that I've probably lost about 15 kilos as an average. I went right down to 20 kilos, but then I started to celebrate in my glory and think, I'm going to have some cake. And I just, you know what, I can be naughty because I'm taking my Clean Slate. I'm taking my Clean Slate and it's balancing off. I'm going from, as I've said to Dory and I've said to a lot of people, I live my life on percentages, 85% good, 15% bad, without the alcohol. So, I've seen that tremendous improvement, and it is not just about, I think I've said before on previous chats we've had, look, the skin and the damage to the skin is awful, but it's the psychological scars. It is absolutely, there is a point. I can understand why people jump off a bridge or do all this sort of stuff. I can understand it. I'm too much of a coward to do that sort of stuff. I'm just, I'm not going to do that. I'm too selfish about my grandchildren, but, so it is the psychological scars, the physical scars, and as I say, but to be able to see myself like this today, and you know, it's the photos are one thing that Dory's been kind enough to share with you all, but I'm here showing you face up that it's how I am today, and it's just getting better and better. So and there's my legs.
These are amazing.
Run, Forrest, run. But look, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Is it psoriasis? Is it leprosy? Is it whatever it is? But, you know, again, being an ex-professional footballer, what I did, I wanted to see the shape and definition coming back in my legs. So if you go to the second photograph, you can see I'm pulling my quads a little bit, but you can see my shin muscle.
Oh, yeah, right here.
My quad muscles,
yeah,
so,
here.
So I'd lost all of that. That had all gone in a little bit of fat, but obviously it was hidden by the scars. So it was great to be able to see those and, you know, see some colouring taking place. But as I say, I've gone from, that was after 8 weeks, as it says on there. My script is right in front of you, Mark, if you look. And then after 4 months now, where I am today, that's how my legs are today. And I do normally moisturize, but I don't have to. Because I drink 3 to 4 litres of water a day, I think my body is now functioning better through a cleaner liver, and it's actually being distributed to the right places, so my body has got sufficient hydration. But I just have to drink 3 to 4 litres of water a day. It's just the way I'm built. That's what I do. So, yeah. So, yeah. Crazy, huh? Who are you going to call? Oh, Sebastian. But yeah, that is just, that in itself is, you could just use that slide and that would be, to me, testimony to everything. But again, as I mentioned earlier in the conversation, I'd been fortunate, if you like, because if I look at how much I'd spent per year, per week, per month, and added it all up, I would say I'm certainly hovering around the 30,000 that I was spending latterly. You know, what appeared to be small amounts per month over that 10-12 year period was exorbitant. And then on top of which I was seeing specialists or so-called specialist dermatologists that don't still relate to skin linked to the liver, and they won't have anything to do with it. But anyway, and then I had 10 days in hospital where they told me I was going to lose my legs. And so that was a $7,500 bill. And then all of a sudden I got a little bottle of 69, Soissons Neuf. And here I am, and I can't thank the team, can't thank the products, can't thank anybody enough. I just thank God more than anything, is because I'm very, very lucky to have. But I think I've earned this as well, because I do listen to my body, and I knew there was something. And saying my good friend Thomas, who introduced me to the concept, could see I was passionate about finding a way out of this. And so he honed me along. I threw a load of cod oil down my system for 3 to 6 months. And then I bounced into root and detoxed very, very quickly. Very, very quickly. Without too overly graphic, you know, I spent a lot of time in a room down the corridor. And
it's interesting that you were taking it just, you know, 10 drops twice a day, and you were actually putting it in water, which makes so much sense to me. Actually, after reading this, right, paper, Clayton, because actually it's actually talking about, like, when you put it in water, instead of taking, because it actually, okay, so I was thinking, because it goes through the gastrointestinal system, right, actually it's better to put it in the water. Like, remember I told you, Mark, I take it neat, right? I just pop it in my mouth, right? But the water, it's going to go through a different route. It's really not going to go through that mucosal, you know, the mucosal lining.
I think what it was, I'd heard Clayton say, you must hydrate, you must keep yourself hydrated, you must take water. And I thought, well, that part of the journey is not a problem, because I'm water. But so I just put 10 drops in the morning in a glass of water, wallop, and same in the afternoon or the evening, did exactly the same. And I did that for literally 3 weeks. And then I started to watch people saying, you know what, that 10 drops scenario, hey, not a problem. You can't seriously actually get to a point of overdosing on this stuff. And I must admit, I enjoy what it's doing to me. So it's on my office desk, literally by the side of me here. And I take it probably 3-4 times a day. Neat under the tongue.
So
Well, so
Mark, I got a question for you.
Go on
What industry do you work in?
then. I'm not telling you. I work in the medical.
You've been in healthcare.
Absolutely. For 6 years, I involved in a business that actually repairs, or actually cures. It cures non-healing chronic wounds, including diabetic ulcerations of the leg. And look, I'm proud of my business. Joking apart, we take people from black gangrene legs to saving the leg. So that is magnanimous in itself. But I found it ironic. I was lying in hospital 18 months ago being told, you're the ambassador of this company, a director of the company, you are the foot soldier of this company, you ain't gonna have any feet to be a soldier with because we're potentially going to take your legs off. And I was like, how can that be? I've not got diabetic ulcers, but I've got psoriasis and I'm going to lose my legs through that. And I used to treat myself a little bit with my machine that I use for my patients. And it seems to help a little bit, but it certainly couldn't break down that volume of problem because it was all over my body. It wasn't just my legs and my arms, it was everywhere. So no, and I'm now a proud ambassador of my equipment. And again, but I do see, and I have had this conversation with Dory, I see there is a definite synergy here because I can cure the ulceration, but I cannot with my machine. I cannot ask somebody to change their lifestyle and reverse the diabetes or put it to at least remission. So I think there's a happy marriage taking place there somewhere down the corridor. And there certainly would be from my point of view. If I greeted with a patient, my clinic's in Switzerland, my main clinic's in Switzerland. I'm having a bit of dialogue with my specialist over there. And I think before long he'll be appearing on one of our Tuesday night chats because I don't think, when I sent him photographs, I don't think he actually believed what I was telling him. So, hey, the proof is in the pudding, and you can call me pudding all day long if you like. But
Right. So there's a question that just popped up. Was with your decade, we can say decade of experience, much like Tommy was answering the question. Did your clinicians ever give you an idea of what the cause was, what the etiology?
No, absolutely. If I have been back to my dermatologist here in Paphos in Cyprus, and I've said to them, look, what can you tell me about the relationship between the liver and the psoriasis situation? And, apart from the fact it's broken English and such like, this is not this, Mark. It is not this. It is nothing to do with your liver. Your liver is good. I see your blood results every month. They're good. They're fine. But they cannot see the obvious medical synergy between the two. And it's very frustrating. But I think that's probably, I've got to blame Cyprus a little bit because they do tend to be a little bit,
Yep.
And this Englishman, he come here, he tell me how to suck eggs.
But I think the important part is like Dory had pulled in some of her research, and it's the important part to understand about every part of your body, right? Is when we look at the sequestration of these toxins and chemicals and pollutants, they might not affect enzymes, but they're going to affect other parts of it. And like Dory, when she brought up with me of identifying that psoriasis, eczema, acne are liver toxicity issues with heavy metals and specific viruses in the you can say the correct or the worst case scenario of those combining together, that's what's expressing. And you try to go through some of the published literature, that you see from dermatologists, and none of them know it. I have with my medical consulting company, I have a couple dermatologists that I work really closely with.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a subject that they are completely ignorant to. And
I think, like a lot of the medical professions, become very sales orientated. And if you for 1 minute appear to be hitting their bottom line on GP gross profits, woo, they're going to back you away all day long. And that, I understand it. I'm a businessman myself, but at the same time, it is when I've got such a loud voice over my situation, I feel it's not just a case of, it means they can treat 1,000 patients now rather than 4 or 5, and they can be in and out of their clinic very, very quickly. And they can take the wonderful feeling of being able to say to people, the testimony saying, I've helped all these people, rather than just a small window.
Would you agree in the philosophy, though, that this is wellness is actually a choice, right? You
Mhm.
don't go to the hospital, you don't go to the doctor to get well.
No.
You have to, and as you did, I mean, with your journey, and you can see with what you were spending and trying to find a solution, but you can't go to we can say the establishment
Mhm.
to find a solution, because that's not where you're going to find it.